renewable energy credits. And so that's going to require us in July to enter into a phase 3 agreement with Santa Clara to purchase PCC1 renewable energy credits from them over a 10-year contract, so that we can fix that price at $35 per rec. Otherwise, we're in the open market and it could fluctuate to $48, $52.
For the next 10 years.
And what we're doing is buying our way to compliance, which is a twisted and terrible circumstance for small towns and communities to be in. But that is the reality of California's energy regulatory regime. There is no alternative for us. We could roll the dice and say, we'll just buy at market rate. Commissioner, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, that wouldn't work. We were lucky that Santa Clara, obviously as big as it is, it has the recs, but from what I know, $35, I mean, I'd rather pay nothing, but it could be a lot worse in terms of cost.
So what we pay them on a monthly rate now, that covers that, right? We're not gonna be paying them more?
We will be paying them more. In a way. The price tag for this arrangement with Santa Clara comes in about $108,000 per year. However, I was recently notified by NCPA's CFO that our overall budget forecast has been reduced by approximately $138,000 a year. Our costs for our total NCPA participation.
Oh, that's great.
And so we're achieving a savings of 138, but now we're gonna have to enter into this phase 3 agreement. The price tag of 108. So, is that a good trade? Is it a good thing? The universe gives and it takes away.
But at least we don't have to pay out a lot, that much, I mean, right?
I kind of feel like we are, but because of the savings that were separate and apart from this transaction, we will have a net gain of about $20,000 to our benefit. But that doesn't make me feel any better about having to be forced to buy compliance. So, good news, bad news. That was a long explanation, I apologize, but this is a conversation tied to our budget. These are budget-driven realities that you're gonna have to deal with. And I don't like it, and I don't know anybody who does like it, but that's the state we live in. Net operating income, this is another way of stating what we just said. Looking at the net operating income by fund, 2023 versus 24. This chart shows improvement in every fund except solid waste, which went from a small deficit to a slightly larger deficit, for what that's worth. We need to get rid of that and get it out of our lives. But it does show, $600,000 plus, $700,000 hit in the pocket in 2023 on the electric fund. We had a deficit in the electric fund that 1 year alone, $700,000 added to the previous year's deficits.
Due to,
Again,
is that the drought?
Some drought, but also volatility. It's my understanding, and I could be wrong, and anyone feel free to correct me. It's my understanding that our mill went to a 980 work week. They altered their work cycle, which altered their production. And I think there may have also been a fire in that time frame that impacted operations, which impacts electrical usage. And when we have one entity that uses its 49% of our customer base, that's volatility, and that's what it looks like on the graph. Revenue distribution, again, this is just those proprietary funds, but again, this tells me that what we are is, we're more of an electric utility than we are anything else. And so, the decisions that we make around our electric policies, our rates, our rate structure design, they've got to be right, or we're the next Allison, and it can happen fast. Don't want to be Allison, Doug. Maybe Doug does, but Allison's bad. So expense distribution varies very similar in the same way. If you want to know why we're spending so much money on electric, on our O&M contract, it's because it's the major feature of what we do and the service we provide. Let's talk about public safety, something that's near and dear to everybody's heart. I said earlier, in the gospel according to Cliff, we do three things: police, roads, and fire. We talked about roads. CAL FIRE will be bringing an updated contract to you next week, contemporaneous to the budget adoption. That contract is going to increase year over year by $132,000 to realign with their renegotiated employee contract.
I have a question. So the voters voted in Measure H, which is a 1% tax. Is that, are they not gonna set on top of continuing to charge the cities?
The
money?
voters implemented that tax on themselves in association with the county of Butte. Our contract is with CAL FIRE, and that's independent of Butte County as a political entity. And the county, I haven't seen or heard any interest in the part of the county, even though our city residents pay that tax
Yeah.
when they make purchases and in their activity. I haven't received any indication whatsoever that the county is anxious to provide benefit to the city of Biggs, or really, or any other city for that matter, by way of some form of, cooperation, or, although we do have a contract renewing for animal services, animal control, that will, when completed, is also coming to you at the next meeting, represents a cost reduction year over year of about $8,000. So it's going from $2,900 a month for the service down to about $2,200 a month. But I don't know that that has anything to do with Measure H. I think that has to do with, they have come to a better understanding of what's actually necessary in terms of man and woman hours or employee hours to fulfill that contract obligation.
And that's through who?
The County Health Services Department.
So looking at Measure H, it says there for retaining qualified firefighters, on and on. So it's over $44 million annually in taxes.
I would encourage you and every member of the council to have a nice sit down with our supervisor, Todd Koshu, and ask him what he thinks the county's prepared to do to spread that wealth.
Okay, and so how do we do that? Do we?
Just call him.
we need to just call him?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure you guys all get his number, because that's crazy, they're getting over $44 million annually that all of us are paying. And yet we have to cover the increases here for our fire protection when that's what the voters thought we were paying for. That's what I
Well,
thought.
they're going to draw the distinction between the county of Butte and the state of California. CAL FIRE is the state of California. And so they're going to push back against that, however, I heard through, channels from a person whose name I won't disclose, that the county has agreed for another jurisdiction to participate financially with their purchase of a new fire truck for their community. And so, when that conversation happens with Supervisor Kimmelshue, I would encourage you to start the conversation there. We would like to have some participation in this specific area maybe.
Right, and yeah, maybe they can cover that, the fire engine that we need. Is there something that we could do collaboratively, like, Greg could go ahead and draft something up and, you know, that we can send to Todd and,
Sure.
you know, so that, is everybody in agreement or is it just me? And ask for that money, you know, maybe replace the fire engine?
Yeah, I'll be happy to draft that and push it out to you for review. I'll BCC everybody so that you're not cross-talking
Yeah,
offline, but, you know, edits and changes that you'd like to have, and we can get that into the mail stream tomorrow,
Yeah.
for that matter.